sea level. So we had to find a great trauma place that was as close as possible. So Miami was willing to take her. And again, that the doctors, the surgeons were like, they were like the Olympic athletes of neurosurgery working on her. And they told me later that if it was not the most complicated case they'd ever worked on, it was in the top 3, and that they had not, they again, they called us the miracle family, because going all the way back to Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, apparently said something that tends to hold true today, and that's that if you can see the patient's brain, they don't survive. And Skylar, you definitely could see her brain.
Wow.
And yet we're still, I mean, tenacity is the word of our lives.
So you're
And
saying like your daughter was such a strong person that you think that's what made her go through, like come
I
through this.
really believe it's the combination. I mean, there's no way to say that without this amazing medical team and all of the modern technology to make this possible. And
Yeah.
they really believe that with the mindset that we had,
Hmm.
that they'd never seen anything like it, and that it totally, for them, they felt like it made the difference. Also because it helped them perform at their highest level. And
Yeah, because of the vibes being so high, and it helps out. Wow, it sounds like they were amazing too.
they,
And everybody, like you guys, that's good. That's good that all this
yeah.
happened like that. And so like is she okay now today? Like what is
She
the
is
progress
still,
like?
well, I am still her primary 24/7 caregiver, because now I do so much coaching and speaking and training. I have another person who helps me as well, because Sky still, the boulder, for now, took
Uh-huh.
out her balance. And
Yeah.
so even though she's strong enough, and even though it fractured her spine, but the spine did not nick her spinal cord, which is
Oh,
amazing. So she's not paralyzed. It's just she has no balance. So, but we are working and pressing on. And again, tenacity is the name of the game. Anyone who has a dream and wants to transform the impossible into their I'm possible, it starts with tenaciously holding on to that vision of where you want to go.
so would you say you're the same person as you were before this happened? Or you
Absolutely.
say you changed?
Absolutely not. And the irony is, my life has superficially changed in many ways. I don't have the kind of freedom to just up and go places like I did before, because I have to manage my daughter. But
Hmm.
I am the happiest that I've ever been. I'm ecstatic waking up in the morning. I look forward to her. I
Yeah.
look forward to working with the clients that I work with, to seeing their transformation, seeing my daughter's thousands of
Uh,
victories along the
yeah.
way.
You know what's funny is that like we all go through different phases in life, and I went through those phases like I was so happy all the time, and then I had phases I was like a little bit down, and then most of the time I was usually a happy person, but then I went through a depression, and then times when everything was really dark, and I really didn't think that I will ever feel like you're describing, like
Mm.
feeling good every day, excited, and it did happen again for me, and I was like, oh, cool, because a lot of people think that when you went too far in the dark side, like places, they think that you can't overcome things. That like it's not possible for them. So a lot of people think like the defect of humanity, and they're gonna be uh, outcasts forever, which is not true. Which, if you look at the most happy people today, they probably had gone through so many things as well. So it's funny. It's like it's actually possible for everybody, at any age, actually, to like wake up and feel good and be excited about your day.
I, I,
It's
I so
yeah.
agree. I so agree. And I feel like one of the biggest takeaways for us has
Yeah.
been to take a step back and stop relying on the things out there to deliver the happiness. That
Yep.
it really begins in the soul, your soul. That's why they call it the soul mate, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. We have the potential to feel fulfilled when we become our soulmate. That is my real believing, when we tap into owning our greatness
Yeah.
and our resilience and
I totally get you on that. I like that metaphor. You become your own soulmate, like your own best friend. It's basically, it's not just confidence, it's more like if you trust your ability of all of your actions and your thoughts and your decision, no matter how good or bad they're gonna be, you the only one who can have your own back. So you have to be that person. And once you do have that, you can strive and you can be okay, you know? And I think that's a great description, the way you said it. Yeah.
thank you. Yes, I really believe that when you trust yourself, like you just said, when you trust yourself, then
Mm-hmm.
you can be open enough to be what can feel vulnerable, to
Mm-hmm.
allow life and other people to make you happy. Because if you don't have that self-trust, then it
Yeah.
feels like, wait a minute, I'm going to be vulnerable to life or to you to make me happy. But what if
Yeah.
you cause me pain instead?
Yeah.
I don't
Mhm.
want to feel pain. So what's the only way I can get that certainty I won't? That's to shut myself down, because I don't trust myself that if you did cause me temporary pain, that I
Mhm.
would be able to bring myself back up. So it's the, to me, it's the quintessential freedom,
Mm.
and we can become our soulmate, trust ourselves,
Yeah.
our
Mm-mm.
greatness, and say, I love you, world. And at the same time, I've got this.
Yeah, I got this. That's a good one. Yeah. Wow. Really good. Yeah. And you know what? You had to be a positive person to be like this, to be able to go through all this and every single day. Like, wow. You know,
It's
it's tough.
it's
Yeah.
interesting because I have discovered that I believe that it's a choice. It's
Yeah.
choice, right? And ironically enough, I was in a very challenging time when this actually happened. And so I wasn't necessarily my most positive version of myself. And I definitely wasn't the most powerful version of myself. I was
Uh,
really in a very, talk about vulnerable place. And yet I really have come to have a belief that people used to ask me, how can you always look on the bright side? And
mhm.
I said, what I've learned is that I don't ever want to look on the bright side. And they were like, what? And I said, because your focus is where your energy flows. And if you're focused, if you're talking about, trying to look on the bright side, where is your focus? It's really on this powerful looming dark side. There would be no bright side if you weren't frighteningly aware of the dark side, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
only when you feel like life has got this, you've got this.
Mm-mm. Unite it with a yin and a yang, you know? Accept it. That's what everybody always say. Like, you gotta accept the good and the bad, and that's just the way it's gonna be. And you gotta move on. You gotta move on for tragic, traumatizing event that happened to your life. Because when we get stuck is when we get stuck on those traumas, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I got stuck for years not knowing. I know some other people are still stuck and they don't even know why they stuck.
Yeah.
Some other people think they stuck on one reason, which is not even the reason they stuck in the first place. It's like they need to figure out what's stopping them, but they don't take the action. You know, they don't reach the right people. So it's kind of, yeah, it's complicated, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
it can
everybody's different,
definitely.
so
Well,
yeah.
that's where it's really beneficial to not isolate yourself, to not be alone when you need help, to
Yeah.
reach out to people who are qualified to help you.
100%. Yeah, don't be alone, no matter what. Because I think the isolation makes things 10 times worse for everybody.
Well, it's like Einstein said, you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it, right? So you can flounder away with trial and error and read and try and figure it out, but you still got the same mind trying to figure it out. It's much more likely that you're going to have a breakthrough, I believe, when you're working with something like, I mean, I'm shocked the number of like clients that I can be working with that will have a breakthrough in like the first or second session, and they always end up saying, you know, it's interesting. It's not like you uncovered or said something that I didn't know. It's just I didn't know it that way. I wasn't looking at it that way.
I like that. Yeah, they need to see it in a different way. I have uncovered things too about my past, the same way you're describing it. It's through different vision and different perception and people's view of, type of therapies and stuff, and then you able to analyze something in a way you never look at it before, and it is just kind of a light bulb. You're like, what? Oh my God, really? And then sometimes we're so stubborn in our mind about things. We're like, I know I'm right, I know I'm right, and I was a victim. I used to be thinking I was a victim for a long time about everything, and when I was able to get off my victim state, it really helped me. I know a lot of people do that. So it's like, you're a victim, but for how long? Right. You got to decide how long you're going to be that victim, victim state. Yeah.
Right. That was a big thing for me. What you just touched on was, and this fortunately happened for me.
Yeah.
The flight, where one of the questions I asked myself was, who did I want to be, and what was I going to make this, meaning the boulder, the accident, and potentially my daughter's death, what was I going to make that mean, not only in the context of her life, but in the context of my life? And was I going to allow this end game to completely overshadow the greatness that she had lived in 22 years and basically dig my heels in and say, well, because she didn't live 80 years on this planet, none of the other 22 matter, and I'm defining myself going forward as the mother of a child who was killed with a boulder, and I'm sticking to it, or was I going to tap into that part of me that knew that I'd had 22 amazing years with this young woman? She lived more in her 22 years than most people do in 80. She touched me. It could never be taken from me. And now what was I going to do with that gift, those 22 years? And when I looked at it that way, it became a no-brainer for me.
Yeah. That's amazing. I really like that. Yeah, that's amazing. Because you make it, it's almost like you bring all the best of those 22 years out on the platter, on the silver platter every day. And let other people in the world remind other people that we all have gifts, and it to be shown and it to be appreciated, what we have. And it's not always from, like you say, money and looks and abilities or physical abilities and stuff, So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful story. So thanks for sharing. And say hello to your daughter from me. And please, let people know where they can find you on your website.
Absolutely. I would love to connect with anyone who has questions about that. You can find me at gritmindsetacademy.com and just click the contact button, and I will get right back to you. And if I can help you in your own quest, not to be a victim or to, come even more alive, I am always so honored. So speaking of
question, like any life question, any problem, anything they want to address, they can ask you. That's cool. So it's an easy approach. See, they don't have to pick up a phone. There's no commitment. They can just ask you directly. Just
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Exactly.
Thanks so much for being there, and everything else